So as always, your first step when you're going to make a camp is to pick the best location to set up your shelter. Now, I've looked at a few places in this nice little clearing I found. Like right here would be pretty decent, but honestly, and I wouldn't have to clear much out either. There's more of a slope to the ground right here than I would like. I don't want to roll around too much, move a lot in my sleep as it is. Then there's these two trees right here, because I'm thinking about just doing the same setup, because it might rain again tonight. And if it does, I want to have that setup that has the sides. Because I could do a ridge line between that tree and that tree. And I'll show you that setup maybe in another video. But that would leave me with no sides on my shelter. Shelter would be taller, which would be nice, but yeah, I'd rather have that protection from the rain that I'm offered by my current type. So, I'm left with, realistically, this spot over here, which is flat and pretty clear because actually this is part of the little road that goes over to where I'm camped right now. So, yeah, there's not a whole lot I would have to clear, and it's relatively flat. I'm not going to roll around, but I'd like to be closer to the water. So right now, that's spot number one. But, as I was just recording, I also noticed... Oh shoot, where did it go? Another semi-flat spot that I seem to have lost. It was like right over here somewhere too. But yeah, I mean, you can see how much this ground slopes right here. So I don't want to do all that, but... Well, looks like spot number one's going to be it. Or I could do right here. There's not a whole lot to clear out right here either. Again, I wanted to be closer to the water. By the way, yes, I'm still recording for a reason while I hem and haw about this, because I'm going to speak out my thought process so you know what's in my brain as I'm doing it. I thought about right here, but I don't know. I don't want to cut this tree down. And I would have to, in order to fit my shelter right here. So, right here's a no-go. I want it facing the water, of course, because the road's back there, and I don't want people peeking in on me. Then again, what's the one I just saw? Could go right here, between that tree and that tree. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit sloped, but I would be sleeping right about here. If I put my head this way, my feet would be down the slope. I wouldn't be laying sideways on the slope. I'd have to tear down this dead tree, but that's fine. I'll do that. And I also don't need to worry about putting my fire right next to my shelter like I did last night. I mean, I can literally use any of this area, so be fine. Yeah, right there. could do, but that tree would pose a problem if I did it between this one and this one. I really like this spot. Curse you, tree. All right, I think I'm gonna do right here. Have to clear out some of these teeny tiny trees and that dead one right there. But overall, not too bad of a spot. Yeah. You know, see, I really like this spot too, but my shelter front would be facing that way, and it slopes down right here, so I'd be sleeping sideways on this slope, and one wrong roll in the middle of the night, and I'm heading down the hill. And yeah, that's no bueno, so I'm not gonna do that. Looks like that's gonna be my spot. Just a quick reminder of something you always want to do when you're breaking up your camp, whether that's whether you're going home or whether you're moving on to find a new camp, whatever the case may be. Always make sure your fire pit is thoroughly doused. And luckily, being right next to a river, I've got plenty to douse it with. So I just went, filled up a couple of my camping pans with water, made a couple of trips back and forth, and once it stopped hissing and bubbling, I left it alone and let the pools of water soak into the ground, because that heat will also get under the ground, and you don't want any of that, because that'll hold for a while. What I'm going to do after this is move some of this wood out of the way, because I have no need to take it with me to the other camp, but I'm going to move it out of the way so I can put the dirt that I shoveled out back into the hole, and mostly fill it back in so that things can return themselves to normal. But I'm going to break down my camp and move everything first to give that some time to cool. So, alright, time to get working. Alright, well, so far so good. Got the whole shelter and all of that cleared out and taken down. Got all my paracord, my wood toggles, all that stuff. I even took the roasting sticks and my dedicated fire stoking stick, and I put them in the car too, and the little makeshift rake. Anyway, so as I said, next step, I'm going to just kick some of this wood out of the way and refill this hole as best I can, and then drive on out of here. Well, you know, like 20 feet that way. But anyway, I did not restow all my stuff. I didn't like take it all and put it back in my pack and all that stuff like I'm gonna go do something. I literally just took it all down and stuffed it in the back of my car. You know, I'm not going far, and I'm not trekking through the woods looking for a new place. So if you don't need to expend the energy, don't. If you don't need to hunt down sticks to use as poles to support your shelter, don't. Just use the trees like I did last night. Now, if it is necessary because you can't find the level ground next to the trees or whatever, it's good to know how to do that. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, I'm going to fill in this hole and move over to the other site and start getting set up. Good as new. Can't even tell there was a fire there. I mean, unless you wonder why there's a big old pile of wood here and think about it. But yeah, no. If you're not looking for it, not even going to know it was there. Alright. Alright, so as I said, I'm just going to drive to the new spot. I'd like to just pull straight forward because it's like, I mean, as I showed you, it's pretty much a straight shot to the other site, but there's a couple of small trees actually growing in the middle of the road, which is another indication that people don't come out here all that often. This might be about to get pretty bumpy, but yeah, that was a stick. a Nissan Sentra is not exactly an off-roading vehicle. Luckily, this is not exactly off-roading. So, oofta. That's a pretty big bump right there. Again, Nissan Sentra. Well, let's see if I can do it. Yes! I made it. So I'm not going to fit between these two trees. So I'm just going to stop here. And this is where I'm going to park the car. Because I have no other choice. Suppose I could have just left it where it was. But whatever, that was fun. The real fun part's going to be getting it out of here. Because, yeah, I'll figure it out. Just so you know what I was looking at when I said oofta. Let me go down to the bottom here. That's what I just drove my car up. It's all loose dirt and it's all bumpy and stuff. And not something you want to drive a regular car through. But, you know, it's okay. I made it. I made it up. There's, I'll clear that area out so I can just turn around in it and go back down that spot. And since I would be going down, there's less chance of me getting stuck. Theoretically. But anyway, back to work. Ha, another lizard. Their stomachs are blue. I didn't notice that before. Don't freak out, little guy. You were just puffing your chest at me a second ago, trying to intimidate me, but it didn't work. Check this guy out. He's cool looking. Aw, come on, little guy. I just want to be your friend. I promise I won't cook you. Oh, watch where you're going. Man, he's quick. Where did he go? What the crap? Oh, wow, he's right there. Man, he's letting me get close. Yeah, I'm not gonna hurt you, bud. But look at that blue stripe right under his chin. His whole belly is that same shade of blue. Gosh, he's cool looking. Alright, so I realized upon getting ready to set up right here that the spot that I was like, oh, where's that spot I was just looking at? It's right here. Gosh. Anyway, it's going to have roughly the same issues as this spot. It's sloped slightly this way. But, again, my head's going to be over here. Feet are going to be this way. I'll be fine. I might roll a little bit away from the opening in the night, but I'll also have my pack and the cooler and a couple other things on that side of me, so I shouldn't roll too far. So I'll be all right. One concern I'm going to have, though, is how uneven this ground is. It might make it a little bit difficult to make my my tarp spread evenly and stand up evenly, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I can move the lines up and down the trees and move the stakes around, and I've got extra stakes so I can pull out extra grommets to tighten the thing down if I need to. So, yeah, that's my spot right there. Not right here, right there. Alright, so looks like this one's a little bit lower to the ground. Like just not as tall, but it's a little bit wider. And I have it sloped just a bit. So that way if it does rain, I'll have it all running here this way downhill. And it shouldn't be too bad for me. If I set up that floor tarp the same way I did last night, I'll have it kind of bunched up against the wall here, so any water, you know, if it does, any water that accumulates can go underneath my floor tarp. And then if it has any flow to it at all, which I doubt it will, matter of fact, I'm a bit skeptical that it'll rain at all. despite the forecast saying that there's a 35% chance. Anyway, if any water does run into the shelter, it'll go under my tarp and out through the bottom here. So I should be all right as long as I keep everything, my pack and all that, on the tarp, which should not be a problem. Anyway, so I'm going to set that tarp up now. And yeah, basically I'll have the same shelter I did last night, so I don't need to go into any more detail on this, I don't think. All right, I got my floor tarp all set up. I did it a little bit differently this time. I kind of rolled it up where my head's going to be and pushed it up against the side. So that way, if any water, like I said, comes in the bottom, it'll just go right under the tent or under the tarp. And then I've got this end kind of poking out the side because unlike last night's location, which was a little more flat, this goes downhill, so I don't have to worry about any water coming in underneath this because it's all just going to roll straight down this little incline here. So I'll be all right. And I've got a solid, I don't know, got a solid like 4 or 5 inches, I think, between the edge of my shelter and the beginning of my floor tarp. And then deeper in, I've got another, I don't know, probably 6-8 inches, to be honest, before the end of my tarp. So any water that comes in the edges there, like the front and back edges, should be good, shouldn't touch me. So I'm looking good. All right. Well. Looks like I have a visitor. This one's like a quarter the size of the other one. But he's right here in my camp. Feel free to chillax, little bro. Hey, while you're here, can you eat some of these mosquitoes? I'd really appreciate it. The ants, too. Have at it, little friend. Well, I've got my fire pit dug, and I cleared out a pretty ample space around it. But I'm doing my typical fire lay, since I don't really have to worry about everything being wet as much. Sun came out, it got really hot, a lot of things got dried up. I'm gonna see if I can try to use my my rod to start the fire tonight, but I don't know, we'll see. I might just take the lazy way and use one of the many lighters I have on hand. But just to explain it right quick, first step for me, for my fire lay, is I put a somewhat larger log in the back, and some, just like with the starting it with wet wood thing, I put some thumb size sticks on the bottom. I'll get some more of the smaller stuff like that, and I'm just gonna lay it directly across like this, kind of braced up on the bigger log. And then I'll use pine needles or really thin bark like this if I can find some that's dry. This is super wet, but and I'll kind of crumple that up and make it real good and fibrous so it catches. And then I'll light that, and I'll put another pile of small sticks on top of it. The process is almost identical to starting it with wet wood, except that I don't have to use the duct tape this time, is really the only difference. But, so that's what I'm going to do. Pretty soon here I'll get the fire actually started, and I guess watch the sunset over the trees there. Maybe get some B-roll footage of it or something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Yeah. Good times. Yes, flame broiled pizza. All right. Well, morning everybody. It's another beautiful morning in the woods. I've had a little issue with some of my grommets on my tarp. Where'd it go? Oh, it flew away. There's a black butterfly. That thing's been following me around. Anyway, and I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner, but there's a simple fix to it all, albeit a temporary one. Duct tape is not just used for starting fires in wet weather. So that's one I fixed yesterday. But yeah, you could just take the duct tape and you can just kind of hold, you know what? Let me switch the perspective here for you. It'd be a lot easier for me to record this. There we go. Well, hello, little guy. You just kind of put this back into the place it's supposed to be. And then you just layer duct tape over it. And what I did was I used that stake over there to poke the hole back through it so that I could put the paracord line back through it and all that and tie it back up. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. And that's what I'm going to do with this one. But this one is actually entirely missing that. There it is. This guy. I'd like to keep that in there. A little extra strength. But, so I've got to do it with these two, and I think it's, yeah, it's this one. This corner one is also coming out. But yeah, keep a roll of duct tape handy, people. It's useful for lots of things. Anyway, I'm gonna do that, and then when I'm done, I'll show you the results and figure out what I'm gonna do for the day. All right, so I did a couple of things with this duct tape. One, I reinforced this one because I pulled this tighter and the duct tape started to come off on the edge, so I just threw another strip right here. By the way, I forgot to mention, this feather, I found it on one of our first camping trips out here, and I don't know, I think it's really cool looking, and I decided that every time I come out, that's going to hang off of one point of my shelter somewhere. So there it is. All right, so back to business. I got this corner one done. I just did a strip this way, a strip that way, a strip this way, strip that way, and then hammered the stake back through the duct tape into the ground. I got that one done and that one done. Pulled all of my my tarp good and taut as much as I could. And I'm gonna have to fix that corner over there. It keeps getting pulled out by the wind. Like it's not in very well because the way I have to do it, because the roots from this guy right here are just crisscrossed all over that area, and I can't get a good spot for that stake. So I'm gonna fix that, and I'll show you what I do to fix it when I've got it done. All right, so another really simple fix. I took my another one of my strands of paracord that has a bowline tied in each end. I tucked the bowline through, put a toggle into both ends. By the way, this is both ends of the paracord, and put the toggle through both. put a stake in the ground somewhere I knew it was going to stay in, and then I just tied off the paracord to it, took the excess and just kind of rolled it up and tucked it under my stake, and that'll last. All I did was kind of tie it in a couple of knots down there, and it's good. Yeah, I know there's this gap, but as I said before, this being downhill, even if it does rain, which I don't think it is going to, even if it does rain, it's still just gonna drip off the end and flow that way. And as long as I don't slide down this incline again like I did last night and slide right out the edge of the tarp, I'll stay dry. So I got to figure out a way to stop that from happening, because I kept waking up like my legs half out here, and it kept, me sliding down like that and then rolling over in the middle of the night. I was pulling up the tent stakes too, so I don't think there's anything to be done for it because I'm on a slope with a tarp. If I took the tarp out, I probably would not slide, but I'm not taking the tarp out. I'd rather not be crawling with ants when I wake up in the morning. Alright, so now that that's done, my shelter's all set up. I was contemplating starting a fire, maybe doing some oatmeal again, but I'm feeling kind of lazy. So I think today might just be kind of a relax and hang out day, which after moving my shelter yesterday, that's basically all yesterday was too, but that's not the point. Don't sass me. We'll see what happens. As I do things, if something happens that I'm like, oh man, I need to fix that, I'll show you. And or if I just see something cool or I do something cool, I'll let you in on it and let you be a part of my world for the day. Well, all right. I guess that's it for now, and I'll keep you updated on how my day's going. So I know I just did a bunch of work on my shelter, and got it all nice and neat and tight again, and the inside looks phenomenal and spacious, and all of that stuff. I got that corner secured, but I just made a decision. I'm not going to do it right this second, but later on today, maybe after I just relax, I'll light up a fire and have breakfast, which is probably just going to be a banana or an apple or both, or granola bar, something. I don't know. Something easy that I don't have to cook and do all that. But after that, I'm going to set up a shelter because it's not supposed to rain today or tonight. I'm going to set up a shelter, one that I mentioned yesterday. I'm going to use a ridge line and attach my tarp to it, and I'm going to do it on the two trees that are on either side of me right now. So I'll set up the ridge line, I'll hang the tarp from it. Last time I did a ridge line, I actually folded part of the tarp under itself to make a bit of a floor, but since I'm borrowing my buddy's tarp today, I won't need to do that, and I'll have a bigger shelter and still have the tarp on the bottom. And that spot where I'm going to set that up, it isn't on that little slope. So just a little object lesson for you. If you realize there's a problem with your shelter that you don't know how to fix, these shelters are really easy to take down and set up. So if you can, just move it to a better spot. It's not something I really felt like doing earlier, but you know what? I kind of feel like doing it now. So that's what I'll do, and I'll show you exactly how to set that up when I do it. So probably record again in a couple hours. All right, talk to you later. So I realized that when I was starting my fire yesterday, I kind of got to this point and didn't record anything else of the fire. I just got it started. So to quickly reiterate, there's the big piece of wood in the back. There's some small twigs on either side, and I put a few across the bottom pieces just to kind of keep my fire starter from falling between them, because I want to keep that airflow going through underneath the base of my fire. I've got my twigs that are going to go over the top. What I'm going to do for the fire starter is just grab, not this much. Yeah, that'll do it. Just grab a bunch of that. Wow, that's really wet. How about not that part? Just some pine needles, some dead leaves. Kind of bunch them up, crunch them up. And you put them right here on the middle. Kind of fluff it so that there's some room for air to go between it. Get a little bit more, put it on there. You want to get dry stuff whenever possible. Ah, these leaves are good. Crunch these up. Crunch them up. Ah. Okay, enough silliness. Put those on there. Grab my magical tool. My magical fire starter tool. Stop, wind. Come on now. Let me do this. Oops. I kind of let go of the... I think this lighter's starting to die too. Fire! Alright. So that's going through. I just take this pile of sticks and kind of lay it across the top. It's going to be smoky at first while everything tries to catch, but that bundle of dry leaves and pine needles should burn long enough to dry out whatever residual moisture there is on these from the rain a couple days ago. Boop. And that'll all catch, and I'll have a nice merry little fire going here in a couple of minutes. All right. Alright, so I have taken down my original shelter here. I'm about to set up the ridge line and all of that for my new shelter. I tried out a couple of different things to try and prop this up. I don't have a tripod or anything like that so that I can record while I put this shelter up, but I haven't had any luck, so I'm just going to have to do what I've been doing and do a thing, get it done, and then show it to you and explain to you how I did it. So I'll take it in steps. First I'll do the ridge line and I'll explain that, and then I'll set up the tarp itself and then the floor and whatnot. And in increments I'll stop and I will record an explanation of what I did, how I did it, and why. That's gonna have to do.